Hola people, story time. Reading from Women Who Run with the Wolves, page 26. We all begin as a bundle of bones lost somewhere in a desert, a dismantled skeleton that lies under the sand. It is our work to recover the parts. It is a painstaking process best done when the shadows are just right, for it takes much looking. La Loba indicates that we are to look for the indestructible life force, the bones. The work of La Loba can be taught as a representing un cuento milagro, a miracle story. It shows us what can go right for the soul. It is a resurrection story about the underworld connection to the wild woman. It promises that if we will sing the song, we can call up the psychic remains of the wild soul and sing her into a vital shape again. La Loba sings over the bones she has gathered. To sing means to use the soul voice. It means to say on the breath the truth of one's power and one's need, to breathe soul over the thing that is ailing or in need of restoration. This is done by descending into the deepest mood of great love and feeling, till one's desire for relationship with the wildest self overflows, then to speak one's soul from that frame of mind that is singing over the bones. We cannot make the mistake of attempting to elicit this great feeling of love from a lover, for this women's labor of finding and singing the creation hymn is a solitary work, a work carried out in the desert of the psyche. Let us consider La Loba herself. In the symbolic lexicon of the psyche, the symbol of the old woman is one of the most widespread archetypal personifications in the world. Others are the great mother and father, the divine child, the trickster, the sorceress, the maiden and youth, the heroine warrior, and the fool or the fooless. Yet a figure like La Loba can be considered vastly different in essence and effect, for she is symbolic of the feeder route to an entire instinctual system. In the Southwest, the archetype of the old woman can also be apprehended as old La que sabe, the one who knows. I first came to understand La que sabe when I lived in the Sangre de Cristo Mountains in New Mexico, under the heart of Lobo Peak. An old witch from Ranchos told me that La que sabe knew everything about women, that La que sabe had created women from a wrinkle on the sole of her divine foot. This is why women are knowing creatures. They are made in essence of the skin of the soul which feels everything. This idea that the skin of the foot is sentient had the ring of a truth. For an acculturated Quiche tribeswoman once told me that she had worn her first pair of shoes when she was 20 years old and was still not used to walking con los ojos vendados, with blindfolds on her feet. The wild essence that inhabits nature has been called by many names and crisscrosses all nations down through the centuries. There are some of the old names for her. The Mother of Days is the Mother Creator God of all beings and doings, including the sky and earth. Mother Nyx has dominion over all things, from the mud and dark. Durga controls the skies and winds and the thoughts of humans from which all reality spreads. Coatlicue gives birth to the infant universe which is rascally and hard to control, but like a wolf mother, she bites her child's ear to contain it. Hecate, the old seer who knows her people and has about her the smell of hummus and the breath of God. And there are many, many more. These are the images of what and who lives under the hill, far off in the desert, out in the deep. By whatever name, the force personified by La Loba records the personal past and the ancient past, for she has survived generation after generation and is old beyond time. She is an archivist of feminine intention. She preserves female tradition. Her whiskers sense the future. She has the far-seeing milky eye of the old crone. She lives backward and forward in time simultaneously, correcting for one side by dancing with the other. The old one, the one who knows, is within us. She thrives in the deepest psyche of women, the ancient and vital wild self. Her home is that place in time where the spirit of women and the spirit of wolf meet, the place where mind and instincts mingle, where a woman's deep life funds her mundane life. It is the point where the I and the thou kiss, the place where in our spirit women run with the wolves. This old woman stands between the worlds of rationality and mythos. She is the knucklebone on which these two worlds turn. This land between the worlds is that inexplicable place where all recognize once we experience it, but its nuances slip away and shape change if one tries to pin them down. Except when we use poetry, music, dance, or story. There is speculation that the immune system of the body is rooted in this mysterious psychic land, and also the mystical as well as the archetypal images and urges, including our God hunger, a yearning for the mysteries, and all the sacred instincts as well as those which are mundane. Some would say the records of humankind, the root of light, the coil of dark are also here. It is not a void, but rather the place of the mist, beings where things are and also are not yet, where shadows have substance and substance is sheer. One thing about this land is certain, it is old. Older than the oceans, it has no age, it is ageless. The wild woman archetype forms this layer, emanating from the instinctual psyche. Although she can take on many guises in our dreams and creative experiences, she is not from the layer of the mother, the maiden, the medial woman, and she is not the inner child. She is not the queen, the Amazon, the lover, the seer. She is just what she is. Call her la que sabe, the one who knows. Call her wild woman. Call her La Loba. Call her by her high names or by her low names. Call her by her newer names or her ancient ones. She remains just what she is. Wild woman as an archetype is an inimitable and ineffable force which carries a bounty of ideas, images, and particularities for humankind. Archetype exists everywhere and yet is not seeable in the usual sense. What can be seen of it in the dark cannot necessarily be seen in daylight. we find lingering evidence of archetype in the images and symbols found in stories, literature, poetry, painting, and religion. It would appear that its glow, its voice, and its fragrance are meant to cause us to be raised up from contemplating the shit on our tails to occasionally traveling in the company of the stars. At La Loba's place, the physical body is, as poet Tony Moffat writes, a luminous animal, and the body's immune system seems, via anecdotal reports, to be strengthened or weakened by conscious thought. At La Loba's place, the spirits manifest as personages, and La Voz Mythologica, the mythological voice of the deep psyche, speaks as poet and oracle, thinks of psychic value. Once dead can be revived. Also, the basic material of all stories existing in the world ever began with someone's experience here in this inexplicable psychic land, in someone's attempt to relate what occurred to them here. There are various names for this locus betwixt the worlds. Jung called it variously the collective unconscious, the objective psyche, and the psychoid unconscious, referring to a more ineffable layer of the former. He thought of the latter as a place where the biological and psychological worlds share headwaters, where biology and psychology might mingle with and influence one another. Throughout human memory, this place, call it not, call it the home of the mist beings, the crack between the worlds, is the place where visitations, miracles, imaginations, inspirations, and healings of all natures occur. Though this site transmits great psychic wealth, it must be approached with preparation, for one may be tempted to joyously drown in the rapture of one's time there. Consensual reality may seem less exciting by comparison. In this sense, these deeper layers of psyche can become a rapture trap from which people return unsteady, with wobbly ideas and airy presentiments. That is not how it is meant to be. How one is meant to return is wholly washed or dipped in the revivifying and informing water, something which impresses upon our flesh the odor of the sacred. Each woman has potential access to Rio Abajo Rio, this river beneath the river. She arrives there through deep meditation, prayer making, singing, drumming, active imagination, or any activity which requires an intense, altered consciousness. A woman arrives in this world between worlds through yearning and by seeking something she can see just out of the corner of her eye. She arrives there by deeply creative acts, through intentional solitude, and by practice of any of the arts. And even with these well-crafted practices, much of what occurs in this physical law and rational laws as we know them, the care with which the psychic state must be entered is recorded in a small but powerful story of 4 rabbis who yearn to see the most sacred wheel of Ezekiel. The 4 rabbinim. One night, 4 rabbinim were visited by an angel who awakened them and carried them to the 7th vault of the 7th heaven. There they beheld the sacred wheel of Ezekiel. Somewhere in the descent from paradise to earth, one rabbi, having seen such splendor, lost his mind and wandered frothing and foaming until the end of his days. The second rabbi was extremely cynical. "Oh, I just dreamed Ezekiel's wheel. That was all, nothing really happened." The third rabbi carried on and on about what he had seen, for he was totally obsessed. He lectured and would not stop with how it was all constructed and what it all meant. And in this way he went astray and betrayed his faith. The fourth rabbi, who was a poet, took a paper in hand and a reed and sat near the window writing song after song, praising the evening dove, his daughter in her cradle, and all the stars in the sky. And he lived his life better than before. That's it for today. Have a blessed day. See you tomorrow, story time.